What is up? What is up? Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Hope you're doing well. So today we're going to be diving into another training. Today I'm going to be diving into a little bit of what we call sales patterns and how to avoid sales patterns. Sales patterns are the number one way for you to lose sales on a day-to-day basis, whether it's through direct messaging, whether it is through, a phone call, email. Any sort of sales pattern is always going to trigger a no. It's going to trigger a response from your prospect that they are going to just understand that you are being salesy, right? And we always want to figure out how we avoid being salesy, especially when you don't identify as a salesperson. And if you are in business, you have to be able to identify as some sort of salesperson, whether you're a mindset coach, whether you're a fitness coach, it really doesn't matter. You have to understand that sales is probably one of the most important pieces of the puzzle when it comes to building a business. And really, until you're at the 7-figure mark, then your focus is on sales. So like I said, today we're going to talk about sales patterns. And I've never screen shared on this platform before, but we're going to try and make it happen today. So I'm going to walk you through two different scripts, and one of them is a script that I made just for, to show you the parallel between the two. So show you one script that is super salesy, and you'll understand exactly when I show you. And then I'm also going to show you another script that makes things a little bit more personal, and it allows for a better communication on the direct message conversation. And this can apply to phone calls, like I said, because one of the biggest things that we need to understand is that when we are being sales driven, we lose the personal communication. People buy people. They don't buy products. They don't buy services. They buy you, right? You could have the best service in the world, but if I hop on the phone with you and your energy's off, you're not confident, you're not asking the right questions, then I'm just going to be like, service sounds great. Like, looks like they've made a bunch of people really successful, but unfortunately, this dude did not sell me, so I'm not going to move forward with the service, right? That's just how it works. So let me see, screen share. Let's see, application window. Cool, it worked. Whoa. That's crazy. Anyway, so we'll go into these two different scripts. I'm not sure if this is showing. Let me see. Bear with me. This is like I said, the first time I've screen shared on here. Let's do this. Let's try this. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see my screen right now, and we're going to go on to this script right here. So if you take a look at this script right here, you'll notice that, this script essentially goes from a video message to a conversational approach, right? So we're leading with the video with the outreach message, but then we're going into a conversational approach. However, this is not the right way to go into a conversational approach, and you'll see why. So if I send you a video message and you love the video, you feel like it's personal, you feel like you want to respond, and you want to understand a little bit more about what I have to offer. And then I ask you something like, cool, if I just ask you a few questions before I give you the details to make sure it's a fit. So right off the bat, it's like you're asking for validation on if you can ask questions. Just go ahead and ask questions, but ask the right questions, not the wrong questions. And then to make sure it's a fit, they don't even know what they're a fit for, right? So that question is going to trigger them and be like, oh, this person's just trying to sell me, right? And then when you jump into something like, I see you're a mindset coach, so roughly how much revenue are you doing per month? And are you currently involved in the sales process, right? That is something that is going to automatically trigger a sales pattern. And a sales pattern, to break it down, is something that is repeatedly asked in your industry, right? It's a question that's repeatedly asked in your industry to the point where it becomes a sales pattern. It becomes something that when people hear it, they know you're trying to sell them, right? And how we want to kind of have the sales process structured, no matter what you're doing, is that first call, that discovery call, or whatever you want to call it. that call is meant to build the relationship, right? And in the first 60 seconds, our brain starts to think about compatibility and whether that's a phone call or whether that's a DM. So if you're starting off your DM right away with, I see you're this, so roughly how much revenue are you doing? They're going to be like, all right, first of all, you don't even know who I am. You don't even know much about what I do. And you're asking about my revenue. Like, no, right? And then secondly, they are going to get to the point where it just pushes them away, right? It's a sales pattern. It's something that they just know somebody is leading towards a sale. So let's look at a better way to ask that question. So I always like to say, no matter what line of business you're in, you're bringing someone through a transformation, right? So if you were to ask a question like, what's the transformation you take your clients through? I can almost guarantee that that person is going to give you a straightforward answer or a long answer about what they do. And then from there, you can go right into these types of questions. So if you wanted to figure out, how much revenue does this person do per month and where are they currently at with their business? If that was the goal of your conversation, then you could drop something like, how many people have you helped make that transformation, right? So now instead of asking the dollar amount that they do, you're asking how many people they've impacted. How many people have they done this with, right? And then they could answer something like, and you could even make that more direct. So you could do something like, how many people have you helped in the past 30 days? And then that might give you an answer that's more direct. They might say something like, oh, I have 8 people that I've been working with in the past 30 days. And then from there, you could go into something along the lines of, so, what does that transformation process consist of? Like if you're targeting someone that's a business owner, it's like, do you run ads? Do you do this? Do you do that? Right? Like you're trying to find this information. And I know that some of you, this might not apply to your business, these direct questions, but you just want to think about the ways that I'm asking these questions instead of the direct way, right? So instead of asking, what's your revenue? You can start to work around that question with how many people have you helped? What does it consist of? And then how much does it cost, right? But trying to figure out that sort of information will then tie together the whole idea of, okay, so this person has done X amount in the past 30 days. So you figured out their revenue without asking what their revenue is. You asked, broad questions about their service, about how many people they're helping, about how much it costs. But you're not just asking them straight up like, hey, what's your revenue? You're asking them questions that are good ones, questions that they're going to answer. So they might say like, I don't know how many people I've helped, probably like, 20. And then it's like, oh, cool. Like, what does that even consist of, right? And then they're going to go deeper into what they do. And then from there, you can flip it and you can start to say something like, oh, like, I think I know some people that might benefit from that. So like, how much does it cost to become a client of yours, right? And like, obviously, this is flipping the script and it's kind of like a bait and switch technique. But at the same time, you are getting to the point where you are figuring out that revenue without asking what the revenue is. And that's the key, is you just want to find these outside ways of getting in the door. So that's really the whole idea with the whole sales process and the sales patterns, is how do you avoid saying what everybody in your industry says and say it with a little bit more intentionality, right? And think about it, if let's say you're a mindset coach or you're a spiritual coach or a life coach, right? So think about, what are the questions that people ask consistently in your industry, and figure out a more personal way to ask them. So if people usually ask something like, like, when do you experience anxiety, or are you experiencing anxiety, or these types of questions, try and figure out a way around that. And like I said, I'm not in that industry, so right off the top of my head, it's not going to be something that sparks and says that this is the right question to ask based off of that topic. But at the same time, what I'm essentially trying to tell you guys is that if you just ask the same questions that your industry is asking, so even get to the point where you're like feeling out your industry, like reach out to some people, see how they talk to you, see what type of questions they're asking you. Figure out what that industry pattern is, and then figure out how you can get around that and be a little bit more personal with your approach. Because that's the key with this whole thing, is that as soon as you make it feel systematic, as soon as you make it feel like it's ingenuine and it's just a question to dig for information, that is when you lose that person's interest, right? And like I said, in the first 60 seconds of every conversation, the brain starts thinking about compatibility. So if you are not building that rapport correctly, if you're not creating that relationship correctly, then it's very easy to put yourself in a position where this person is now turned off by the way that you're speaking to them, and they feel like it's just another sale, right? And it's not deliberate, it's not intentional. So when you are in your sales process, figure out how your conversations can flow in order to create that smooth transition into the next piece and that smooth delivery in order to make it just feel like a connection. Like the other day in a discovery call I was on, I was literally, on this call for a good amount of time, and it got to the point where it was so like personal for that first probably like 6 minutes or so of us just connecting based off of what they do, that I was literally on Zoom like this. Like that's so interesting. So this and that, right? So as soon as you have that type of intentionality where you're using your ears, sales is a listening game. Sales is not a sales game. It's a listening game. The person who is understood is the person who is sold. So the more that you can understand the person on the other line, the more that you can understand where they're coming from, and the more that you can understand exactly what they need and what their problem is and whether you have the solution for it. The more that you can understand where they are right now, the easier it is to have them understand that you have the solution. And then the reason why I really encourage a 2-call close with every business system, like literally, maybe not if you're selling something that's like under $1,000, but if you're selling a program that's above $1,000, I definitely recommend a 2-call closing system. Because with your 2-call closing system, if you use something like our system, we have a fully built out custom CRM system that we have that you guys can have access to, and just, send me a message if you want access to that CRM. But with our system, we are able to record all of our calls. So what we do is our first call, we record that call, and then our second call, we do Zoom. So for that first call, after that first discovery call, that might be like 15 minutes. Some of them run later, some of them are shorter, but that first 15-minute call, we're able to now listen to that recording and understand exactly what pieces we can use for the close. So what we do with our sales team is we take those discovery calls, and as a team, we get like 5 people on, and we all listen to the call together. We hear the pain points. We hear exactly what should have been fixed, what should have been capitalized on, but what we can use for the close. And then with that closing process, you have to get to the point where you're utilizing those points in your close. So you might get to the point where that closing call is just like this conversation, right? You're talking a little bit about what the specifics of your program are to educate them on exactly what their process is going to look like. People want the path paved for them. They want to understand exactly, like, when I get in your program, what is it going to look like? So like what I recommend is on that closing call, lay out, like, if it's a 30-day program, this is what the first 30 days are. This is what the 30 days is going to look like. In week 1, this is what's going to happen. In week 2, this is what's going to happen, right? And now you're laying out that ground print, and people are starting to understand, like, oh, this is real. Like, this is something that can really happen, right? It's something that is really effective, and I understand what my timeline is going to look like. And with that piece, you need to then transition into the close. And with that close, you have to refer to the first call. So you might use something like, I had a closing call the other day where I was using exact pain points that they mentioned on the call. So I was saying, like, so I know last time we had that call, you mentioned a lot of concerns about your lead generation process and the fact that, your current lead gen system just required so much time. And with our 90-day shift program, we can put you in a position where you can completely automate that with a $4 hour employee. Would you agree that that's a solution to that problem, right? And then when you do that, you need like 4 or 5 of those. So if you're a fitness coach, you might get on the first call that they're feeling unconfident with their body, or there's a problem in their relationship because they're like not active, right? So like those types of things you can utilize for the close and just say, I know on the last call you mentioned that, you didn't feel good about like the skin that you're in because you just feel like you've let yourself go and you haven't been as active as you want to be. And, with this program, I'm going to hold you accountable to making sure that you show up, making sure that you get all your stuff done. And with that, like, does that sound like something that would fix your problem? Right? So when you utilize like 5 to 7 of those in a row off of that first call, then you end it with something like, so based off of everything I just went through, it sounds like this would be a really good solution for your problem. Would you agree? And you get a yes. So the big key is that when you get 5 yeses in a row and then you get a 6th yes, they're almost never going to lead towards a no. Like there's almost never, the brain is so used to creating systems and creating like structure to how we operate that when we hear yes, 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 and when we say yes, 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 it's very hard for us to just say no. Like we're in a pattern now. So you have to figure out how to create not a sales pattern, but a pattern of agreement on that closing call. So now I'm getting into stuff that's like way outside of sales patterns, but I felt like it was worth it because it ties to this conversation. So 2-call close, discovery call, figure out how you can utilize a system that records your calls. If you need one, you can reach out to me and we have a CRM that you can utilize that we created. And then the other thing is utilizing those points for the close. So if you're watching this right now, feel free to drop any questions in the chat. I'm going to go over some questions while I'm here. And if you guys have questions, I can address them and take care of them for you. If you are a current client of ours, feel free to drop a question about the system and any way I can help out with that. And if you are not a current client, then feel free to ask a question about anything when it comes to sales and when it comes to, generating leads. I'm here to provide value, and I hope that this training did that for you. But I also want to be able to make it personal and, address exactly what you're looking for. So I'll lay that out there. Feel free to pop in the comment box if you have a question. But the big key to this training is be intentional about your conversations. Don't just go into any sort of sales process, whether it's lead generation or whether it's a phone call. Don't just go into that process sounding like every other salesperson that they talk to. Figure out the best way to ask good questions to tie everything together in order to make that person feel understood. Like I said, if they feel understood, then they're going to close. If they don't feel understood, then they're not going to close. All right. Appreciate you guys. I'm glad you guys got value from this. So I'm going to pop off for the day. We'll be back with the training tomorrow and a Q&A. So same time tomorrow, 12:30 EST, and hop in. You guys got any questions? Any questions? Tomorrow, 12:30 EST, we'll be popping on another training. We'll be popping on and doing some stuff with some lead gen strategies. We'll probably do something maybe with LinkedIn or Facebook, whatever you guys want. Yeah, Dondre, go ahead and drop it, brother. All you guys, drop some questions. I'm here. Drop them. I got mint chocolate chip protein shake today. Slaps. Go ahead and drop the question in the chat box if you got a question. I'm here for another 5, so let's rapid fire them real quick, and we'll get through them. But go ahead and drop your question. 12:30 tomorrow. I'll be dropping another event in here today in the next few hours. Figure out a good topic for us to go over. But like I said, we're here twice a week, every week, to just drop any sort of value we can for you guys in this group in order to take and run with and really create some results. So I'd love to see you guys here every single training. Pop in, drop some questions. What do you say when? Cool. Yeah. So, okay. 2 good questions. Very good questions. I've heard this before. Dondre, elaborate a little bit on that, like exactly when that's coming in the conversation, and I can definitely take care of that for you. Let me pop this question up and I'll address this one. So I got a person reply, send me more info, and I'm just getting started in my biz and don't have case studies. There's plenty of info on my IG and website. Yeah, I totally understand. So the best way to do this is loom.com. loom.com. It's essentially like a screen sharing video platform that you can use. So you can screen share your website, and then you can have like your little icon of like your face in the corner. And basically what you can do is like explain the website for them and create like a quick Loom video that's like 1 to 2 minutes and personalized to them for now. And basically just walk them through the website and be like, yeah, so this is a little bit about what I do, you know, this, and that. Like use your website as bullet points in order to talk about what you do. And if you create a personalized video, then the personalized videos really create a lot of results. So yeah, it is free. Loom.com, LOOM.com. I think you have to pay for like a certain amount of videos, but yeah, it's free to start out with. So I would definitely recommend that. With that screen sharing aspect, it adds a lot of like visual aesthetic, and then it also adds like some personality or some personability. I don't even know if that's a word, but it adds like that personal touch to you creating a relationship with that person. So it's definitely helpful. Dondre, go ahead and add a little bit of context to that. I've heard this before. Go ahead and drop that. But yeah, so loom.com, really solid. You can walk them through your website and you can just kind of explain. And then what I would recommend too with that is utilize that Loom video. If you can basically create a personalized one for that person, but then create a general one outside of this later on today or tomorrow or whatever the case may be. Create like a generalized one that doesn't address them by name. It's just something like, hey, what's going on? So I just wanted to show you a little bit more information about what I do. Here's my website. You know, this is what I do, yada, yada. Drop like some like bullet points about what you do. But with that generalized video, you'll be able to utilize that for everybody that you approach. So if anybody moving forward says, send me more info, all you have to do is like copy and paste that video into the messaging, and you won't have to record a personal one for every single person. And then, cool. Sounds good, man. Yeah, just, yeah, of course. So I go live. It's actually usually Wednesdays at 12:30 EST and Fridays at 12:30 EST. My business partner's on vacation this week, so I honestly completely forgot yesterday because I've been kind of balancing some things. So 12:30 EST on Wednesdays and 12:30 EST on Fridays. On Fridays, me and Mike are both here live every Friday at 12:30 EST, and we do a quick training and then a Q&A for you guys to ask any questions that's going on in your business and how we can help. So would love to see you here. And yeah, everybody's welcome in this group to pop in on any training and really ask any questions associated with business. I will always tell you if I don't know the answer to your question, straight up. So ask any question related to business and I'll take care of it. Dondre, shoot me a text or something if you need any help with that outside of this live. I can definitely help you out. So feel free to reach out. But 12:30 EST on Wednesdays, 12:30 EST on Fridays. Yes, I am on Clubhouse. Mike Anderson is my Clubhouse. I think I pop up as Mike Pogleys on here because we use the streaming platform, but my name is Mike Anderson, as you can see in the bottom left corner. But at Mike Anderson on Clubhouse is my name. Used to be really active with that. I've been a little bit slower with Clubhouse, but it's all good. Cool. Appreciate everybody. You guys have a good rest of your day, and we'll catch up tomorrow at 12:30. We'll be back at it. So appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your day.